I look like I'm going on a cruise.
She's borrowed one of my t-shirts, and do you know the annoying thing about it is she looks so much better in it than I do. I may never wear it again.
Well, it's because we were both wearing the same top and looked like we were both stuck together.
We look like a couple of one-armed, black-topped, strangely joined at the waist.
Pirates.
Pirates, yeah. Pretty pirates. Right, this is the...
Concealer Wars, the what?
Yeah, Beauty Hags.
Beauty Hags.
Concealer Wars. And we, just as we were beginning to put our favourite, we've each chosen 3 favourite relatively new concealer formulations out here now. You said something that's really interesting. You don't use concealers.
Right.
Explain.
Because I use quite heavy foundations all over. I've just found that concealer doesn't give me that much extra.
Okay. But when you were saying that and we've had this conversation before, so when Joe and I first started filming, and we were discussing this on the Instagram Live, why we started filming, and I was like, because we're so different and we're such good friends, and you went, no, you Googled spots. I had spots. I was the only friend who had spots. At the time, you were using what to cover spots if you needed it? Because you don't get
Bare Minerals.
Now. Bare Minerals powder. Concealer.
Yeah, concealer powder. I still use that.
Yeah, it's good. It's really
especially if I've got a bit of redness around here, or I want to hide my pigmentation or whatever.
And it's interesting that people think the powder won't conceal, but it conceals really well.
Oh my God, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's an amazing product.
I actually would use it. You have to really buff it in.
Yeah, you do.
Because otherwise you see it. But I've just never felt that concealer gives me anything more than a foundation gives me. Until I've started to have like
dark circles.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is really interesting. You're 10, 13 years older than me.
Younger.
Younger. So I always say that. I'm so sorry.
It's like Dev becomes her.
I know.
No, I don't give a top.
Sorry. No, because people will be looking at this going, what? How old does Jo look if she's 10 years? That would be
no, you wait, because then my head
right?
starts to turn.
So it's very interesting because I used to use occasional concealers on spots and redness around my nose, but I did not have to put it on my under eyes until my mid-40s.
So so
you lose the volume under your eyes, and I think the secret to using a really good concealer is you need something different on areas of redness and spots as you do under your eyes.
Oh, like I've even when I use heavy foundations, I can now see, like I've got a bit sunken under here.
You lose the volume under your eyes, and mine is not just here now, mine goes right the way round. So
what can you can't put volume back under there, can you?
You probably are just young enough to have it put in. I've had filler under my eyes and it was a disaster because the skin is so fine and crepey it just bulges through, which is why I would seriously consider having a lower eye job. But when you're young, you've got hereditary dips, you can have filler put in it. But by the time you're our age, I think it's all about concealer and where you put the concealer. And I would think you should start with that because I think the fact that you like this is really interesting.
Why? Because you don't?
No, because I think it's brilliant. And I think because your under eye area is so light and in such its early stages, I think it's perfect for you.
Also, I have been using this because I love this brand. Where's the mirror gone?
So this is...
Oh, it's over here. I've got it.
So this is a Boreum CCI, and it's a sort of not really a concealer. It's an under eye brightener.
Yeah, that's sort of like...
so it goes it's a sort of purpley... white colour.
So it's quite brightening, so it's got purple. I think this one is, I think they come in a few shades. This is clear. It sort of changes colour when it hits.
It basically just bounces the light back under Jo's eyes. So instead of having a darker area, you end up with a brighter area.
But do you know what? It's brilliant and I love it, but it's more of a primer that you would then put a concealer on top. For the problem that I've got now...
I don't know, you see, like, you just put it under one eye. Now look in there.
Oh, it looks better, but I still need extra.
I think that's
I'm still looking at a fucking camera.
Really, really big difference.
Yeah, it has, but I still need extra. It has made a difference, but I can still see... Do you see? I think it's more of a light reflecting prime. You know, probably if I've had, like, a really good night's sleep... You know, when you wake up and then this would be enough. But for days like today, when I've had about 6 hours sleep, I need more.
So my main area of concealers is around my eyes. And for my choice for best under eye concealer, the one I've used most recently that's been launched, and I'm sorry they look really messy because I genuinely have used them. And it's the number 7 Hydroluminous Dark Circle Concealer. And I basically think it's a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury one.
Oh, but you don't
used to
like those
the Charlotte Tilbury one.
thingies.
No, but see, I would never, ever, ever put that on my face.
Do you put it on your skin and then...
What I would do is basically take a brush and do that. And then I think the secret to under your eyes when you get to a certain age, when you're my age, and you've got crepey under eye areas that need concealing, I think is you apply it with a brush. Well, and what I would do, she said, looking at her eyes, realising she's got makeup under her eyes.
Well, no, that's because I nearly stabbed you earlier with a Glossier Sky Wash.
And you have to be really careful where you apply it. So I just only apply it in the dark area and then basically just buff it out. So, and then I would clean up under here. I use it right under the eye.
The makeup artist at the pat counter yesterday told me to use a foundation brush to put on.
Which is what that would be.
Yeah, because it's lighter and it's
so
not
I don't know
as
if you can
dense.
see a difference because I've just reapplied that concealer under their eye. Now, young people will put their concealer in big areas here, but I can't put it under here because I'm crepey and wrinkly. So it just needs to go in that dark area there.
Can I just ask, like, how do you know which tone to put? You know, like, there's so many...
Trial and error.
Really?
Yeah, if you're not on counter, so this is 2 and 1.5. If you haven't got a person on counter, like number 7 doesn't really have that, then you just have to do trial and error, so test them all on counter.
And should you go for something lighter under your eye?
I always go for lighter under my eyes.
Not the same shade as...
No, as your foundation. I always go lighter because you want to be brighter and lighter under your eyes.
Yeah, but it doesn't cover that dark bit. Like, it's this bit.
Well, which is why you're going to love the next one. Which is why, because I don't like this for a reason.
Right. I'm having a slight problem with, like, product overload.
Beginning to pill
because I've had quite a lot on over the day.
So for me, that's the best budget under eye concealer that's been launched for quite a long time. And
number 7's good, isn't it?
I mean, I do think it's really nice, and I think it's a combination of a dupe for NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer and the Charlotte Tilbury one. I wouldn't use the sponge. I just don't think they're hygienic to use and run over your face.
I mean, the more I'm buffing it, the more
you can wash a brush. You can't wash the inbuilt sponge, and I just think that's not good. So let's talk about this, because you really love this, and I've got a problem with this, but I haven't got a problem with it on you. I've just got a problem with it on me, and this is the new Hourglass concealer.
Yeah, I love it. We talked about it before, didn't we?
Yeah. Why do you love it?
Because it just covers up this dark bit that I want. It just makes everything disappear. This is heavyweight. This is bad boy. I've been up all night.
Yeah.
I need some absolute scaffolding to keep this on.
And I made the mistake, basically, of taking the wand and doing what I would do with a wand, which is that round my nose. And I had enough on my face to do a full face of concealer. It's so lightweight yet strangely densely pigmented, and it's got a great slip, but trust me, it comes with the brush which she's got now, which Jo's got.
I quite like the brush.
And the brush is amazing, and I've now stolen the brush and I use it to clean up around my eyes, all my shadow and stuff like that, but a little goes so far. And that's what Jo loves. Jo wants full on whiteout.
Yeah, I do.
Full on whiteout.
But what I don't want is to
the
look
irony that they've got Rosie Huntington Whiteley. It hasn't got a single flaw on her face as the face of this concealer.
Oh, she's just had a kid.
It's not lost on me. Oh, she's such a nice person and so beautiful in real life. I also find the shades come up slightly light, but again, you'd like that. But yeah, that's a serious amount of concealer.
I know.
And the reason that Jo can wear it and I can't is because Jo doesn't really have that many lines under her eyes, whereas for me, it sits in my lines. However, if you get a tiny amount of it, it's good for a night out.
Oh, good for a night out, and I tell you what,
good post night out as well.
Yeah, good for when you're like all my friends that have got kids and young babies. They all say, "Oh, what should I do for my skin? I need to blah blah blah," and I'm like, don't worry about that. Just get a really good concealer, because when you feel better then when you look in the mirror that you at least look semi-awake.
And I think what's interesting is I love Hourglass as a brand and I love their skin products, but I think what's interesting is the brush they've launched with it basically perfectly explains what I love and can't don't like about the concealer, in that the brush is really large, so it's not about control, it's about buffing out over large areas, whereas that will literally just sit in there for me, whereas that's too large. I'm actually using that now after I put my foundation under my eyeliner, and just to buff out and clean up under my eyes.
It's really good for like
it's a great little brush.
Buffing it in.
It's a brilliant little
it's really nice and dense
brush. So good for her, good for young people, good for heavy coverage, not so good for people if you're fine lined. if you do buy one and you've committed to it, just try not applying it with the doe foot and just applying the tiniest amount. The tiniest amount goes a really long way.
Put a really nice moisturising primer underneath.
I don't use primers.
I quite like a primer.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, I'll basically buy into any category.
Yeah, she does. That's what's so good about her. She turns up and she's so enthusiastic and excited about stuff that I'm just sceptical about.
Oh, do you know what I bought yesterday at Selfridges?
What?
I got reacquainted with Kevin O'Quan.
Oh, I love Kevin.
Oh my god, like it's so beautiful. Like the powders, the
you might like the tubing mascara.
No, that's what I bought because when I used to work for Space, I used to PR for Space NK. We launched Kevin O'Quan in the UK, and I got introduced to the tubing mascara, and I bought it yesterday. It's 22 quid. It just you can even go swimming.
The fun thing is you can peel it off at the end of the night as well.
So satisfying, but it gives you really good definition of the lashes.
Yeah. So
I bought that.
Do you know
yesterday.
I interviewed Kevin O'Quan?
Oh my god, he's like. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah, the documentary.
Such a good film.
Such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. So incredibly talented. Anything that you see that Jennifer Lopez has, or Janet Jackson, or any of those amazing sculptured contour looks, he was like the master of it, and such a lovely man. Do you know what? I met him on an Avon trip. I think for a little while. And yes, I'm that old. He might have sort of been aligned to Avon, which is kind of mind-blowing.
Were you an Avon lady?
I was in New York learning about Avon, and I worked at Marie Claire, and I went behind the scenes of their skin testing labs because they're incredible, really amazing.
Well, I'm sure, yeah.
In New Jersey somewhere. Can't remember the name of the place. Yeah. Anyway, so my favourite, if you're slightly older concealer.
Oh, you've been excited about this one.
I really love Flawless Fusion by Laura Mercier. It's really, really beautiful. And in fact, I've got a couple of lighter shades here that I'm actually going to gift to you. What would you be? You'd probably be the lighter shade there, wouldn't you?
What's so good about this bad boy?
It's much lighter, it gives much less coverage, and it hydrates. It's super, super, super hydrating, so it doesn't sit in your fine lines. And it's really nice. So you can put a lot more on.
Well, not really, because I've got about 4 layers.
But it doesn't actually sit in your fine lines, and I just think it's a really beautiful one. Also, it's slightly light reflective, but it gives enough coverage to hide redness and spots and stuff like that. It's for me, it's my
quite an intelligent one, isn't
current favourite concealer. I really, really, really like it. And let me just show you.
Have you tried the new Armani one as well?
How I would apply it. Yes, and the Armani one is very nice too. The thing about Armani is, I'm going to have to grab my large mirror now. The thing about Armani is they just do bases really well.
They just do what, bases?
Bases really well. So here we go. So I would never, for example, put that much of the Hourglass one on. It would just be far too much.
You'd be doing a full face.
Yeah, okay. But, okay, so you go in here and then round there, like that. And little injection spot there where I had a little touch of Botox. And I just think it doesn't actually sit in any of my lines.
No, it's a good one.
It's a nice one. It's a really nice one.
It just feels like it's not trying to cover you up.
No, it's not. It's accepting the fact that I'm old, wrinkled, and I've got dark circles. It's making them look great. It's not pretending that I'm 15, which is what I feel like the Hourglass one is trying to do. It's trying to do a whiteout on me. And I get that people love that, and I get that you love it, but I thought it was really interesting when you said you'd fallen in love with that and I'd fallen in love with this one. I think it's not that one product is better than the other, it's just that we fundamentally want different things from concealers.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What else have you got?
So I went into Selfridges.
Which I haven't even tried this one. And do you know what I love about Pat McGrath? I talk about this. She's only brought the first step. I would be so interested in the second step.
Well, I think the powder's quite similar to the, I think it may even be the same powder that you've got. No,
it's not. It's a brightening powder. But I love the fact that she's launched a 2-step under eye concealer, and the second step is a powder.
But look at that, that's glass. They're all plastic.
No, it's the same.
It's not, that's glass.
Yeah, which means that's glass as
well.
No,
it's not. That's plastic. I'm such a savage.
I think they're the same.
That is glass.
That's definitely.
Listen, okay, ready? Do that.
They're all the same.
Well, whatever. This is. I think they actually all look quite similar, don't they?
I think, you know, we were talking about that. We did that video about our favourite new stuff. We were talking about foundations. I really feel concealers are having a moment. And you asked a really good question, right? Concealers under or over foundation?
Well, that I never knew that.
Always over foundation.
Yeah, but when I would always put them, when we were, like when I was growing up and using makeup, we would always get your Rimmel, what was that Rimmel mascara?
Cover stick.
Yeah. And I think it's still like bestseller
Cover
or
up,
something,
spot
isn't it?
stick, what's it called?
It's just
On
the
the
little
spot?
one. It
Yeah.
looks like a lipstick,
No,
right?
no.
And then you put
And
it on.
it's proper full on, right?
Yeah, and we used to go like lines under there, you know, just like they contour now, and then put your foundation over the top. So that's how I've always thought that it's done.
No, it's not. You put it on afterwards because otherwise it just smushes off when you use your
Foundation. So this one, so I got colour matched for this one.
I think that's the right colour for you. You think it's too light, but what she's done is she's accepted the fact that you've got a blue under eye shadow.
Yeah.
And what she's done is giving you a slightly peachy colour to
That's what she
counteract
said.
the
It was
blue.
peachy, and I don't look
Almost
at
like
it.
I know what I'm talking about.
And I don't look at it and see peach, but she did. See, look, I just think that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's like a halfway house between the Hourglass
I
and the
know.
Mercier.
And they say to put it on.
But why you didn't want the pattern, you know, because you never wear.
Well, I didn't
powder,
want to
do
spend
you?
60 quid.
Sorry, Pat.
I know, but I didn't. I can't spend 60 quid.
How much was the concealer?
26.
Oh, it's a lot.
I know, maybe. Like,
It's much thicker than the Laura Mercier one in terms of texture and the Hourglass one.
but do you know, with this one as well, it's not moving. You know, it's not very moisturising. So if you need something that's super
Which means it's probably
moisturising,
not good for me.
well, I just think once it's in place, that's
Is it just for under eyes or is it for spots as well?
Well, I always think concealers are for,
Everything.
yeah. It's got to be for pigmentation, isn't it? It's got to be for spots. It's got to be under your eyes.
Right.
I think it's good. And do you know what was interesting is what she said at the counter?
That's quite heavily pigmented.
Yeah, it's not missing. Considering how the foundation is much of a lighter touch, isn't it?
No, that foundation is such a heavy coverage.
No, it's not. You've got to layer it to be. It's less heavy. The girl at the counter, the makeup artist, was saying yesterday that people are thinking it's too light. Excuse me, or just burped.
Right in my face. Tequila and lemon juice.
I know. And our egg mayonnaise M&S lunch that we always have when we're together. Oh, it's all
Nacho cheese dips, chili cheese nacho dip, and taco chips.
What's that cheese joke about nacho? I'm trying to remember that thing that I was thinking of earlier.
We've missed it on the live now.
I know. I can't remember it.
Can I just say I like that Pat McGrath.
I like it too.
It's heavily pigmented, but it doesn't slip as far as the Hourglass one.
No.
So I think in terms of coverage, you've got Laura Mercier Flawless, then the Pat McGrath, then the Hourglass. That's how you would step up in terms of coverage.
Yeah, of sure.
But I would use both of those. I do like that. I would love to
And
try
I would use
the
these.
radiant powder over the top.
Yeah, well,
Because I powder everything.
go and bloody buy it then, because no one's sending it to us.
Now, talking of my final one, I want to mention the only pot concealer I've ever used that doesn't sit into my fine lines, and I've used it many, many times. Sometimes you use these things and you test things and you forget how good they are. Glossier Stretch Concealer is incredible. And it looks like it's an on-the-spot, thick coverage concealer. It doesn't sit in fine lines. It's amazing. If you've got a one-step pot concealer, that's the best on the market, in my opinion.
And it's so buildable as well, isn't it? I put that on with, I watched Katie Jane Hughes, you know, the makeup artist. She did Sally's makeup, and she just used like not a foundation brush, but something that was quite similar. It almost looked like a flat sort of blusher brush. And she put it in there and she just lightly buffed her face all over with it.
No, Katie uses that as an all-over foundation.
It looked amazing.
But Sally's got really good skin, so it hardly needs any coverage. And then she buffs it from the centre of the face out.
And so it just looked like she'd been lit up.
But if you look at that, it does make sense. That does look like a pot foundation. But
I mean,
it
looks.
super light.
I've used it sometimes.
When I first got that, I thought there's no way in a million years that's going to sit under my eyes, but it sits under my eyes really well.
It's really good
clever.
one.
Such a great product. I don't really understand the technology of it because the NARS pot one I could use on spots and redness, but I couldn't use under my eyes at all. But that works.
Yeah,
and that is
that's
Glossier Stretch Concealer, and that is our concealer wars.
Good concealers.
Not really a war. More of a different ways to use concealers. I think always over the top of foundation.
Yeah, I think so.
And be wary about where you apply it. When you're Jo's age, you can put it right the way across the eye. With me, it literally can only go in the dark areas. And if I was a really smart makeup artist, you could even put it in that dent there, but you can't. Then I put it round my nose here.
Yeah, round the nose.
Few imperfections round here. Ready to go. I use foundation every day. Are you looking at my grey roots?
No,
They
I'm
are
like,
terrible.
I'm not looking. You don't have grey roots. I was just looking at what. That wasn't as far as my eyes were going.
Oh my God, you've got foundation and concealer all down your chin.
No, I haven't. I've got the green thing that you put on my eyes earlier on it.
Oh, sorry.
It looks like radioactive.
It looks
boogers.
like Shrek, but can I just say, look how beautiful that Glossier
Sky wash
in that lime green looks on you. I think it's because you've got really, really yellowy, limey flecks in your eyes.
Do you know what? I think that
It matches the tequila.
Do you know what? Everything matches tequila when you've drunk as much of it as I have. But do you know, I just think there's certain things that I would, that because when your age, of your age, you think, oh, I can't really use this Glossier green
No, you
wash
proved
or
me
whatever.
wrong.
And I just think, fuck it, wear it.
Yeah, she proved me
Apart
wrong.
from the blue one made me look like Pat Butcher.
No, it didn't. I'll put the link to the previous Beauty Hags video
it's
we
there,
did.
look, it's in my pocket.
And we literally, she proved me wrong.
Do you know what Pat Butcher's, do you know what her autobiography was called?
No, go on.
Oh fuck, I've done it again. I keep forgetting.
It's a sign of getting old.
It's something like, it's something like hair on it. Oh no, wait, don't go.
Hold the line.
Hold on, caller.
What was the other thing that guy said to you? You were
Oh my
doing
God.
some mentoring for people.
No, I wasn't. I was speaking to this guy who's he owns and runs this thing called Beauty Business Journal.
Okay.
And
which is like a trade magazine, is it?
yeah,
for
but it's
everybody in the
online,
beauty industry,
and
right,
it's
okay.
really good.
And what did he say?
He was trying, because he said, look, you really need to learn how to ask people for things. And I was like, I hate asking people for like favours and stuff like that. It just makes me feel really uncomfortable.
That's why I love you.
I just like hate it. I'd rather just go and buy it or go and do it myself
Work
or
for
whatever.
yourself. Go on.
And he said, if you don't ask,
You don't get.
no, but it wasn't that. It was something much more profound than that. Is it?
The camera stopped because it was fed up with us waiting. So it's called The End of an Earring. Was that worth it, people? The Pam St Clements autobiography is called,
I don't know if it's going to be The End of an Earring.
which isn't funny. However, the gentleman that speaks does the beauty, what's it called?
Business Journal.
Business Journal. This is a great bit of advice. You hate asking because you're just too proud and it's too embarrassing. And he gave you a brilliant piece of advice, which is,
If you don't ask, the answer's always no.
and that is brilliant. Don't be ashamed to ask.
Yeah. I don't
Which is
know
interesting
being asked things.
because she's
Do you?
always no, I don't mind at all. Which is what she's always asking for stuff from my cupboard.
Well, I don't ask.
That's true. Every so often I'm like, you know that I'm just looking for. Did I? I didn't mean to.
But also I could say, no, I didn't. And you'll be like, oh, right.
Yeah, no, I need to do a guided tour of this, and then you'll realise why I could easily lose a whole host of stuff.
I think there's a couple of people in there somewhere.
Couple of dead assistants. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. This is our concealer wars. It's not that the concealers are better. It's just that they're
Different for different reasons.
For different people. She is considerably younger than me, not older, and therefore we have beginning to get similar problems, but her skin can take a different amount of pigment and needs less hydration than mine does.
I'm still looking over there.
No, I know. I'm looking over there now. I tell you, you're making me bad. It's because I'm sitting over this side. I need to take a quick picture of this Pat McGrath before you disappear, then she's going to go off and pick up her kids. Yay! Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. We are the Beauty Hags. We've done an Instagram live, which we've now kept. She wants to get me on TikTok.
Oh, yeah, let's do a quick one.
Really? All right.
Renegade.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.